I went from like fine, just feeling a little achy. The next thing you know, like I'm surfing through the clouds. So I'm like, y'all are gonna have to chill out for a minute because I'm about to lose my bearings.
All right, guys, welcome back. It's Soil Cycling number 19, take 2. I'm just going to go right off the beginning and say I screwed up. We did a wonderful episode. It's probably the best episode that anybody's ever recorded of podcasting, and you can't hear a thing on it because I screwed up and recorded the audio wrong. I am an idiot, but I have my captain's hat now, and I have double recorded this. We are definitely going to have an audio recording, and things are different. We do have a different mix of people. I invited Sean Gosman, Hiking with Shawn, back because we were talking on Facebook, plus he's mentioned he's got a podcast coming, so I thought it might be good for him to practice a little bit, maybe work on his podcasting voice and maybe try to get a little more, get a little spirit in there, Sean, get away from that dead tone. I guess that dead tone really is your thing. We got Jeff Caudle, who's kind of our special guest, and he is kind of the reason that I'm doing this particular episode. So Jeff, it's going to feel like deja vu to us because we've already talked about it, but we're going to try to hit it up again. Justin Pohl is back. We haven't had him for a while. Justin, welcome back. Nate Jones is with us, and we have Matt Johnson. Now, Nate Jones, we're just going to start off. He may not be up to full power because he's working with a broken collarbone. He sent it. You want to mention anything about that, Nate?
Yeah, so I'm highly medicated at the moment, and I've been asleep all day, so if I start slobbering on myself or passing out, just ignore it because I'm a little bit out there.
Call Austin and have him come get you.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
So yeah, we did a little bit of a night Glendale ride last night.
It was at night. Oh, God.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, it was twilight hours, but we night ride Glendale all the time. Normally don't do it in the mud and wet, but it wasn't too bad. But yeah, just kind of was feeling a little too froggy and sent something I shouldn't have sent. And next thing I know, I'm falling about 10 feet out of the air straight on my shoulder, and landed and felt my shoulder pop, but the adrenaline's pretty high at that moment, so I'm like trying to walk it off, and act like everything's fine, but turns out it wasn't. I made it about 5 steps away from my bike, and I had to get down on my knees, and I was instantly started sweating and feeling sick to my stomach and feeling like a tightness in this shoulder. And at that point, it was like a lot of like blunt force. So it was like all through my shoulder. So I was like, this could be my collarbone. It could be like somewhere else, but I was pretty sure the collarbone was pretty well done. And then once we sat there and got my bearings about me, you could feel it there. There was a giant knot just right on top of my collarbone. So I was like, sitting there, I was like, we were at Rib Wrencher, and I was like, we parked at Glendale. I was like, well, Dixon Springs is a lot closer.
Yeah.
And if we can get to the gravel, I can probably at least ride the gravel out or like coast along the gravel so I don't have to completely walk the whole thing. So luckily Austin and Kyle were there. They got me out of there. Well, I got to walk out of there from Rib Wrencher to Glendale. And then Kyle went back to Glendale and got the car, or got his truck and picked me up in Dixon. And then they got me home, and my family got me to the hospital. Got to spend there. I was there till about 2 a.m. last night, or this morning. So
not exactly. He was so concerned about getting you home as opposed to the hospital.
They were wanting to get me to the hospital. And I was like, guys, like, I know this, like, it does suck right now, but like, I'm gonna be okay. I know that my collarbone's probably broken, but there's nothing else going on. I was like, I would rather try to get as much of this stuff taken care of, like getting my car's a stick shift, so I can't just have anybody come pick it up.
Yeah.
And I can't drive it because it's my right it's my right shoulder. Luckily both of those guys can drive a stick shift, so I was like, let's get as much as this done as possible. Like, I'm gonna be fine. The pain is at a minimum right now. Let's just try to get the easy stuff done now, and the ER isn't going anywhere. So, like, just try to make this as easy on everybody as possible. And then, got home. I actually, I didn't want to go in all my mountain bike clothes. Like, I was covered in dirt. Like, I went to the hospital. I was like digging dirt out of my ears, out of my hair, out of just everywhere. So
they were going to be like, young man, blink twice if you're being abused.
Yeah. And they finally took the x-ray and they were like, are you sure you don't need any pain medication? And I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty sure. And they're like, you've really broken your collarbone pretty bad. Are you sure? And they asked me all night long. Well, eventually, laying there and being tensed up, eventually it all started kind of hurting. Just from trying to stabilize everything. So eventually then I told the nurse, I was like, I'm starting to feel it a little bit. And he was like, oh, yeah. He's like, I've just been waiting for you to say the words. I've got everything set up. So they put an IV in and everything. And next thing you know, they about blasted me into outer space. I don't know what they put. They pushed awesome. Something.
I love that feeling.
I went from fine, just feeling a little achy. The next thing you know, I'm surfing through the clouds. I'm like, y'all are gonna have to chill out for a minute because I'm about to lose my bearings. So
yeah, that's what happened. When I broke my arm. They were like, you want any morphine? I was like, I gotta talk to the cops eventually. So let's get through that. We finished that up, and I was like, all right, nurse, I'll take that morphine now.
Yeah. So it was a very interesting night after that. So it was not exactly how I wanted to spend it, but
no. And if you've been following any of our previous podcasts or know Nate, he's prepping for Leadville, which is, I'm going to remember this now, August 9th.
Yes.
So you have
August 9th.
and really the month of June is just it's just prime riding. So I don't want to rub it in, but man, you're screwed. It sucks. I apologize so much.
Yeah. Like I said, I've got to go to the ortho tomorrow and try to plead my case. Is there any way I can get back on a bike sooner? I'm figuring collarbone is probably 4 weeks if it heals pretty good. I've had 4 weeks. I was also a lot younger than I was now. So
yeah. Well, I hairline fractured mine. It was 6 weeks.
So I'm gonna try to make my case of hey, can you put a blade in here and maybe I can tough out riding the trainer for 4 weeks. But
yeah,
I'm not a doctor. And as we said on the podcast that didn't air, this is not medical advice.
Yeah, that was the theme. That's going to be the show episode. That's going to be the episode name. This is not medical advice. Yeah, gosh, man. It was.
If you see my arm, I can't really move it too much out of this position too easily.
So I broke a little bone in my hand mountain biking, not nearly as big a deal as you, and it was about. They did put a little plate on the bone, and I thought it was really stable, really fast, but I wasn't supposed to really use it for 2 or 3 weeks. And it's a much, much smaller bone. So I hope it works out and you can get on the trainer and keep the fitness up for Leadville. And Justin, you said 2 collarbones?
Yeah, both of them.
Both bike wrecks?
Yeah. So I broke my left collarbone out in Lexington, right before I moved home. So needless to say, Crystal was pretty pissed off because we were loading up a U-Haul within 2 weeks. And I was defending my dissertation in the whole 9 yards, so I was up there with a sling trying to get that done. And then I hairline fractured the other one at Worldwide Tech, before the race, like an idiot. When I dumped it in the.
Was that last year?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Was that in the warm up too?
No, that was just.
Oh, that was
writing
in the
over my
race.
number.
I didn't know.
No,
I didn't
no.
realize you broke it. I knew you wrecked, but I didn't know you broke anything.
Well, I didn't go get it for sure confirmed, but it was pretty roughed up for a few weeks.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Anybody else broke a bone riding or anything you want to? Yeah, you did. What'd you break?
I didn't break it riding. Senior year of high school, I broke my left foot skateboarding, and I know the pain of crawling to your vehicle and not wanting to go to the doctor right away. So,
yeah. Wow, it's wild.
That was like the hardest thing. Is everybody's like, we need to get you to the hospital. I'm like, listen, I know I need to go to the hospital, but let's everybody just take a deep breath, even though I can't really take a deep breath right now. Let's just...
Yeah, it's not safe to leave cars in the Shawnee, as has been floating around on Facebook. We're not going to get in that story, but yeah, if you leave your car in the Shawnee full of money and expensive equipment, somebody might attack it and break into it. That's scary. It doesn't happen often, but apparently it happens. So... okay, so let's man, I don't even really want to. This is tough because this is just bad news. I didn't know anything about it. There's some other bad news we're going to get into. Let's just go ahead and hit the bad news train hard right here from the beginning. We lost a member of our mountain bike cycling family recently, and it's public now, so I can mention it. But you guys may or may not know Drew Blair, but he died recently. Not really sure on any of the details, but Drew was probably 70, 71, 69, somewhere in there. One of the 70s, yeah. One of the OG mountain bikers and cyclists of the area.
The gatekeeper of the Shawnee.
One of the gatekeepers. And I feel bad about it because I haven't rode with him in a long time.
Yeah, he lost his wife, so I mean he's been out of it for a while over that.
Yeah.
And I think he was having some medical issues.
Yeah.
So I mean he's been out of the game for quite a while.
Yeah. And so yeah, hate to see him go. If you're ever in Harrisburg, stop at our park and you can walk at the Drew Blair walkway. Drew was a, athlete in his youth and was served on the park board in Harrisburg for a long, long time. And that's why there's a trail there named after him. And he did a whole lot to encourage people to get out and mountain bike in the Shawnee, especially the old school East Side trails, which he loved. So he was always encouraging and very enthusiastic about riding there. And so I rode with him a lot for several years, and really good guy. And I'm gonna miss him because he's one of the OGs. So we'll get that sad note out of the way for our friend Drew Blair. Now moving on to our special guest, Jeff Caudle, back for more. Once wasn't enough, so he's back for more. Even though you'll never hear what he said. Jeff recently had a heart attack, and I'm just going to let Jeff tell us about it, and then we'll carry on a little conversation.
Yeah. All right. I was going to say, let me start by saying I broke my collarbone whenever I was about 16 on a three-wheeler, so I can feel Nate's pain. Did a little end over end and snapped it. So I can feel that pain still to this day. It's not easy. But back to the heart attack. I think I may have had one of the longest running heart attacks for about a week. As it goes, I started off bike packing over the weekend and. Chest pains and tightness, hard to take a deep breath. Had Saturday into Sunday. Then of course Monday come down to Paducah and do the Monday night road ride. More chest pains, more tightness in the chest. Tuesday went to Cape, did the gravel. more tightness, chest pains. It's radiating down my arms into my hands, and just like normal numbness whenever you ride. But took off Wednesday, and Thursday I did the Paducah ride again, and that night that pain radiated down my arms and kept me up all night. So Friday I decided to figure out what was going on. So I grabbed a bike and took off and did another ride. The more I ride, the more it hurt, or harder I'd ride. And I'd let up, and it let up a little bit. Did that a couple of times and decided I probably ought to go get this checked out. The pain was moving with the exertion, and it was radiating down the hands, all the way down the arm, down the hands, pretty quick. So I get to the emergency room. All you gotta do is mention chest pains, and it's a whirlwind. But didn't take them long to come back in and say, "Sir, you know you're having a heart attack?" Just kind of looked at us. Well, that's why I'm here. That's I came in, and but yeah, and that's they tried to they got me stabilized and tried to do some stents, and there wasn't no stent in anything. I had 4 complete blockages, so that was Friday night when I went in. The next Thursday was when they opened me up and did the bypasses. I guess it was on the 15th. Did a quadruple bypass, but and it was kind of interesting because they take you to the ICU after you have that, and I was up out of bed that night and sitting in chair and stuff. And up the next day walking around, the doctor came in and walked around the unit with me and said, "How about you just go home from here?" So I actually got discharged from the ICU to go home. It was the first time they've ever discharged anybody from the ICU. I say that because none of them knew how to do it. He's like, "Well, we got to make phone calls to figure out how to get you out of here." But they sent me home, and the rest is history. Been doing good, no pain. Just taking it easy, doing some walking, fishing. No biking yet.
I must admit, I follow Jeff on Strava, and I've seen these posts where he's talking about a heart attack, but I'm seeing these activities, and I didn't believe it. I thought this was some comedic relief we had going on.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
No sitting still for you, Jeff. That's good. We're glad you're doing good.
For sure. Golston, see, this is what we were worried about. This right here.
Mm-hmm.
Like every single time when you're like, "I have chest pains," I'm like, "Let's go to the ER."
Yeah.
Let's get you round up.
So I didn't do
This is not medical advice.
I didn't do a very good job of introducing Jeff. I just want to throw a few things about him. He started riding roughly about 5 years ago. I'd say your big focus is gravel, and you do road riding too, but I'd say you probably like gravel more than that. And a lot of rail trail riding, but a lot of just events, going to ride stuff and doing a lot. And he puts on a lot of miles, like 1,200 miles in the month of January. He rides a lot. I see him all the time. And he's real vocal about it, real enthusiastic about it on Facebook, getting people, hopefully, spreading the virus that is cycling around the area, which is great. So, so when I saw this stuff about Jeff having a heart attack, I was really surprised because, he rides so much. And so when we talked a little bit about this, he reached out to me about it for a couple of reasons. I've been doing videos and for on and off for years and complaining about having chest pains and left arm pains. I have been to a lot of doctors. I've been checked out multiple times. And I can assure you that the cardiologist does not ever want to see me again. They just want me to leave them alone. There is nothing wrong with my arteries. There's nothing wrong with my heart. Whatever it is that's causing these weird issues I have, it's not like Jeff because it tends to get better as I ride, and it kind of comes and goes, whereas you can see with his situation, and again, this isn't medical advice, but as you can see with his situation, once it started, Jeff, it didn't get better, right?
No, the onset would hit faster the further into the week that I got.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, so we kind of joked, and the theme of this episode, the lost episode, was that cycling caused Jeff's heart attack because he was out there pushing himself to see what was wrong, which I've done the exact same thing. And then it also kind of saved his life probably, because if he wasn't cycling, he may not even knew he had a heart attack. It might have just continued to get worse until he, had a massive coronary and couldn't do anything about it. Quadruple bypass is a huge deal. They took arteries out of his arm to repair the arteries. And then the thing that stuns me is that you have your chest cracked open and they're working on your internal plumbing, and then you're up out of the chair that night and you're walking around the next day. I mean, to me, that just is stunning. I would think I would be in bed for a couple days after that, after having my doors opened.
That if Jeff wasn't a cyclist, he may have not recovered that way too. So
I think that's a good part. So we also talked about this, Jeff. I don't want to talk for you. I'm gonna let you talk. This problem didn't come out of nowhere, right?
Well, I don't know. I started cycling about 5 years ago, and before that, I'd gotten way overweight. I was up to 299, poor diet, sedentary lifestyle. And then A1C was real high. And I just, it's led up to it. The work that I put in from 2019 to current day is what saved my life, as far as that period of fitness there, that I got serious about it and stuff. But I have a long history, family history of heart problems, so it was kind of etched in there. All the family members has had stents and heart attacks and bypasses, and either dead or in poor shape from it. But like Matt had said there a while ago, the doctor, that's actually what the doctor said, was given all the cycling and stuff I did, and fitness and everything, that is the reason that he was kind of excited, he seemed like, to do my surgery, because he knew the outcome was going to be good, was going to be positive. So and that's what he was kind of excited to do it. He just he gave me 125% of full recovery odds. So
wow, that's pretty good odds.
Yeah, I'll take those.
He said he's never had anybody with that good of probability in his 28 years. So I took it as a compliment. But yeah, I went and did a 5K today. And we're talking, I used to be zone 2 just to tie my shoes.
Wait, didn't you have this heart attack?
Last week?
And you're doing a 5K today?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay. No.
5Ks of walking.
I've done a few.
But yeah, it's still 5Ks of walking. That's a lot of walking.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I walked a mile on lunch. I feel terrible about it now.
Right?
This isn't your first one either.
No, I've done a few.
So he's been building.
Jesus. All right. No, that's fine. I mean, once again, this is not medical advice.
Again, this is not medical advice. You should probably listen to all your doctor's orders. But I thought it was ironic, and that's one of the reasons why I thought this would make a really good podcast, is that, cycling, you get a lot of benefits from it, and recovering from a heart attack that quick, I just can't imagine that if you hadn't picked up this activity 5 years ago and got into it so completely intensely that you would be just bouncing out of ICU like that. So I just thought that was really awesome. I think it's good for you. And
Yeah. Can you tell the difference like pre and post like bypass?
I'm getting to that point that I can. Like today, I walked and I did the same pace as I did the other day. Um, but where before I would have been huffing and puffing to do that. Today, I finally I had a little bit of sweat on my face that I could feel, but I just yeah, I'm just now to the point where I ain't gonna say pushing it, but I can feel that it's easier.
Jeff, can I ask you an honest question? When it's time to get back on the bike, is there any nerves about it happening again, or like pushing yourself? Like how does that come into play with recovery?
So they they cut the breast bone. I got like 6 to 8 weeks before that's fully healed. Um, and I'm excited. I want to get back out there. I put the bike on the trainer the other day, just so I haven't got on it yet. Um, I was hoping maybe this weekend start pedaling a little bit. Um, but I want to see if I can do better than I did before. Because I was, what actually had happened, and the doctor kind of confirmed it, was my heart had bypassed all the arteries. And, like this last week, I had been pushing harder than what those bypasses could carry. And that's what was causing the pain and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But and so I'm kind of excited to get back out there and to push it and to see where how much better I can improve from, break all my PRs and stuff.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. I think you'll find so much more blood flowing.
Yeah.
Did they give you any sort of timeline?
No, just on the chest bone. Said, treat it like a broken bone. 4 to 6, maybe 8 weeks. I'm hoping they'll do an X-ray at some point and look at the where they cut it and see if it's fully healed up. I mean, I feel like I could go ride today, but I don't want to take a risk of messing something up. Just the inconvenience of having to wait another 3 or 4 weeks,
Yeah.
But,
Do they still give you the cough pillow?
yeah. Yes.
There it is. Yeah.
Always keep it close at hand. But that's one of the things. Sneezing, coughing, stuff like that's gotten easier now. 2 weeks out. So that's. But I took a couple of pain pills whenever I came home that night. That's the only 2 pain pills that I've had. I took some while I was in the ICU. Just for the heck of it. They had oxycodone and morphine, and I did the oxy, and the morphine didn't ever touch anything, so it didn't even make me feel funny. So I thought, man, didn't need that.
Well, we're glad you're still with us, and we talked a little bit about future cycling goals last in the Lost podcast, and we just kind of covered them a little bit. But if I remember right, one thing you were really looking forward to is doing more climbing on your bike, getting over some bigger hills.
Yeah, that's one of the things I've always been terrible at climbing. Just it's just ugly. By the time I get to the top, I was sucking air so hard.
Yeah, I've been there. You know what that's like.
I think somebody said it the best was it doesn't get easier. You just go faster.
That's Le Mans.
I'm
Le Mans.
stuck in the wind at the top of the hill every time too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
But so I'm excited to see how if my climbing improves. I will say I've lost a few pounds since the whole ordeal happened. So yeah, I'm gonna keep working on that too. So
Yeah.
the time I get lighter and opened up, I'll be good.
I want to talk for a minute too. You mentioned in the Lost podcast, you mentioned Mongiorno, and that had started. You'd started that a little bit before this all went down, right?
Yeah. So that was we're chasing the A1C and the sugar,
Yeah.
the type 2, and so we had started that. There's 2 or 3 of those GPL one blockers, and the Monjaro is the one that's approved for type 2, and because I was having fasting sugars of 290, 300 in the morning, and so this morning it was 110.
Yeah. Well, that's good.
So
that's good.
Back on that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
well, guys, go ahead.
Golson.
Go ahead.
Have you been on the Monjaro long, or like were you on it before you had your heart attack?
Yeah. So I'd done 2 months, done the 2.5 and the 5. I did 2 months prior to the heart attack, and like the day after I went to the ER, I was supposed to start the 7.5, I think, is the 3rd month, and I had to wait a couple of weeks.
That I was wondering. I've heard a lot of people reporting that their training just sucks. Like being on a bike sucks because you can't eat enough and carbs suck, and just you can't get enough fuel in your body to actually be able to like do any of the rides that you want to do. Did you experience that as well, or was it more just like mind over matter? Just get it done and enjoy your ride.
Well,
body be damned.
Yeah, it. I don't know. I'd done enough intermittent fasting before to be able to switch over to burning ketones or ketosis. That and it doesn't seem to interfere with that process. So, and I've got enough to burn for.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. All right. No, I was just wondering, like, because I've heard some really nasty reports of like endurance athletes on Ozempic and these kinds of like inhibitors that are just people not having a great time.
It's hard to have peak performance when you can't eat or don't want to eat.
So when before I got back into cycling, I was really heavy. I was almost 300 pounds at one point in time. And I actually lost my first 40 pounds doing keto right before I got back into riding. And I quickly learned that trying to ride fasted was not going to be it.
Yeah. Yeah. It doesn't usually work.
No.
At low intensities though, I think it's a great way to burn calories, especially walking.
Yeah.
I lost a lot of weight doing fasted walks in the morning, and I was losing weight doing that. So I think it works, but like as long as you're not trying to actually do any effort, it's probably okay. But as soon as the effort comes on, probably not. Hey, let's go to a new segment I've got coming up called the Sag Wagon. Everybody jump on the Sag Wagon so we can take a moment to shout out our sponsors. This isn't really a sponsor, but one of our founding members, Hank, has a musical coming up. Yeah, he does musicals. He writes musicals. It's called Standard Issue. June 6th, 7th, 8th at Marion Civic Center. It's we're not receiving any money for this, but he's been trying to get as much publicity as he can for it. He's a veteran, and he has a group called Vets in the Arts. So this is a musical about joining the Army, apparently. And so you might want to check that out in the Marion Civic Center, June 6th, 7th, 8th. Special thanks to our sponsor, Park Plumbing, the plumbers of Southern Illinois. Those boys lay some pipe, and they know what they're doing when it comes to moving around fluids and getting them out of your house. So Park Plumbing, that's a grateful sponsor to those guys. And the Bike Surgeon of Southern Illinois. I'm just going to say it's Southern Illinois' #1 bike shop. Yeah, we have other bike shops, but where are they at? I don't know. Do they do anything that involves cycling? I never see them at rides. I never see them supporting anything. Bike Surgeon of Southern Illinois, led by Pat Work and Gabe, who may or may not be in this podcast. those guys support cycling. Their motto is "We ride," and they do. They're having group rides Saturday, mountain bike rides. When's the mountain bike group ride? Wednesday at 6. Wednesday at 6 at Touch of Nature. Couldn't tell you about Phoenix Cycles group rides because I don't think they have them. Couldn't tell you about Carbondale Cycles group rides because I don't think they have them. Couldn't tell you about, I don't know if we have any other bike shops in the area. But anyway, let's just take a moment and thank Bike Surgeon for what they do. Great people, a great shop. I think that wraps up. Go ahead.
They're doing the, what is it? Not the yard sale. Swap meet.
Swap meet. The swap meet Saturday. Yeah, Saturday, May 31st. Yeah, I may or may not be there. Bike. I'm wanting to be there, but I may have something else coming up. I'm hoping to be there.
Is your brother coming?
He's bringing his Hot Wheels racetrack, and he's going to set up, and we're going to do free races in the parking lot.
Yeah, I'm there.
Yeah, we're gonna start taking bets.
Yeah, he's been modifying the Hot Wheels cars and he actually bought a timing system for his Hot Wheels racetrack. That now he's got numbers and he's processing the data and he's this car is 2% faster than this car. I think he's lost his mind, but Hot Wheels of Southern Illinois, my brothers, the number one Hot Wheels racing organization of Southern Illinois. So that's another stop on the old Sag Wagon. So that concludes the Sag Wagon. If you want to be a sponsor of this podcast, you just email us at soilpod@gmail.com or something, or you can just connect to any of us and we'll get you a shout out on the show for a very, very reasonable fee. Also too, if you want to send us any free products to review, I'm all for that. Now moving on. So in our last episode, we talked about Music City crits, and that was all Nate. Nate, you feel like talking about that again?
Yeah, I'll belabor myself to talk about it.
You can give us the truncated version if you want.
Yeah, so it was me, Austin, and Chris. We went down there. Both times I've been down there, it's rained. Both times the forecast called for a 5% chance of rain, and got it both times. So we went down there, Austin. It was on the double 180 course, so it had the sharp turns in it. Austin's race, they had 3 or 4 crashes because it started raining in the middle of his. So when they did the 1, 2, 3, they just opened it up to the complete oval, and it took all the sharp. We didn't have to slow down or brake or anything, so. We went out there, and of course, me and Chris are racing together, and I didn't really feel like I had any business in the 1, 2, 3 as far as going out and actually trying to win it. So I was like, I'll ride for Chris and, try to take some workload off of his plate. And I just make the assumption, I ride with Chris every week, and I think Chris is a good breakaway specialist, so I'm figuring this is probably how Chris is going to ride. So I was like, we're going to stack every breakaway that we can. Well, it turns out that Chris doesn't want to ride the breakaway in these races. He goes on the very first lap, and I tease him because now I've seen him at 3 crits. The first lap, he'll send a flyer. I don't know if he's trying to open his legs up or what, but he'll send it on the first lap, and then he'll ride the pack he'll be in the peloton the rest of the race. So I really didn't recognize this memo until 45 minutes into the race, and I had been in 6 or 7 breakaway attempts, and then got caught, and then almost dropped 5 times because trying to stick a breakaway, but about 45 minutes in, we just settled in and ended up being a sprint finish. But by the time that it came to it for me, I had spent all my energy on trying to make a breakaway happen that was never going to stick. So it was a good time. I used it as a training race to go out and just ride hard, have fun. So don't ever think you have to just go there and win it. they have these races every week. They're not. I mean, they are special because you don't get that opportunity very often. But like, go out there, try stuff you don't normally do, or have fun.
I do love little races like that. They're a lot of fun. I miss having them close. I miss having like bigger fields close. No offense to you guys that ride D&D, but there's just not a lot of us.
Yeah, and like I haven't made it yet, but I'm really planning on it next week for sure.
My front wheel's got a lot of wins this year.
Yeah, yeah.
Front wheel first place, me second place.
Yeah.
Rear wheel third place.
Yeah, it's
Hey, Nate. Can you do us a favor? Can you not take making the break so literal next time?
Oh no. Yeah, I'll do my best now. I'm just gonna sit over here and cry.
making the break. It's a pun.
Making the break.
He broke his bone. Was that the pun?
That was the pun.
It's funny when you explain it like that.
Yeah, I guess that's humor. Good job, Matt.
It's a fair shot. I would 100% take that shot at somebody else too.
Making the break. You made the break stick.
I stuck it.
Hey. All right, so Music City Crits happened in Nashville on a racetrack. I would love to go. It'd be about a 3.5 hour drive for me for a 15 minutes race where I'd get dropped in 5, so not really worth it. But yeah, it's really cool. I'd like to be there almost just to see BRP racing, but my favorite BRP racer won't be racing for at least a month, so that's kind of gonna suck. Yeah. Hey, hiking with Shawn Gosman. You recently held an event, right?
Yeah.
Tour Day Tunnel.
I did the Tour Day Tunnel.
Yeah.
Second edition. Last year we did it during the eclipse. This year we did it Memorial Day weekend. Last year we had 108 riders. This year we had over 120. It went really well. I did hear about one complaint, but it went really good.
One complaint. Wait, what was the one? Complaint? What was the one complaint? What was somebody upset about?
Was it that you were involved?
A lady got 2 flat tires on the trail.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's because her tires were kind of bad for it.
Sounds like a Matt Golson ride.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was probably one of Matt Golson's bikes. It was an older one you've never heard of.
Yeah. It was.
But it went really good. They're going to do it again next year. And I'm looking forward to it. I'm just kind of a volunteer director. They put my Hiking with Shawn logo on the back of the shirt. That's how I get paid, I guess. But
that's cool.
It's cool. You know, I kind of wanted to ride it, but I rode it. I rode the previous day to put all the signs up for the bike and the run event. They do a 5K, 10K, and half marathon on the same day.
Wow. So
I had to go ride to put all that up, and I did it kind of fast, so I got my ride in, I guess.
Yeah. So was that on Saturday, Sunday, or Monday?
Saturday.
Okay, on Memorial Day weekend. Yep. Well, awesome. Glad your event's growing. It's great to get on the tunnel. I have rode that thing so much that I don't know if I ever want to ride it again. It's pretty awesome, especially...
You're going to upset Jeff.
Yeah.
You know,
we talked about that. We talked about that. Me and Jeff did. I just, like, I don't really like riding that tunnel trail anymore.
Me and Jeff and a few others have organized Friends of the Tunnel Hill State Trail.
Yeah. It's
a 501c3 nonprofit. So we're starting that. You know, we're hoping to help IDNR, improve it and maybe put some stuff up to improve the overall user experience on the trail. So
we'll have our producer, Janet, put that in the show notes. Janet, did you get that? Yeah, I don't know, I just made up a person. We don't have a producer, but yeah, we will get the link to that in the show notes. That is a great organization because that trail, I have always thought that while I am kind of burned out on riding it,
Right.
a little bit. I've always thought it's a huge benefit for our area. And when I lived in Harrisburg, I rode that thing a lot. Like I was on it all the time. And especially for when it was newer, I rode it all the time. And I kind of have in the back of my mind one day, I don't think I'll ever do it, but Hank did an epic out and back doing the whole trail, kind of trying to set the fastest known time. And I thought I could beat him if I optimized for aerodynamics and put some aero bars on my bike, maybe got like a plastic fairing, got a motor, lowered my weight in Zwift a little bit, and maybe I could beat him. I think I could beat him with a little mild.
I'm going to be real with you guys. I think I've been on the Tunnel Hill Trail twice.
Yeah.
I've been on it twice. Yeah.
I did it once going north, and once I got down to Vienna, was like, had 8 PSI in my tires and was like, okay, I'm going home. I was supposed to meet Golston on that ride, actually.
Yeah. Did I bail?
Yeah. No, you guys parked there at Tunnel Hill, and I didn't make it there in time because it was a block headwind and I had 8 PSI in my tires.
Yeah.
And I was going nowhere fast in the single speed.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yep. It was a terrible ride. Not going to lie.
Well, while we're on...
like Jeff
Go ahead.
can maybe try to beat Hank.
There you go, Jeff.
There we go.
Something to train
So once
for.
that ticker starts going, you got a new mission.
Yeah. Jeff, I got an arrow helmet you can borrow, one of them long ones with the long tail. I think that's what we need to beat Hank. We need like
that's awesome. I'll take that and take my speed concept. And, and
disc back wheel.
Speaking of the IDNR and rail to trail type projects, it's a shame that Franklin County never got the project going north of Wren Lake, starting at Nason and going south. I really wish that would have taken effect.
I've heard about that from Larry a little bit about there was supposed to be a trail there that never got started or finished or something. So yeah, it'd be great to have a trail from Benton to Mount Vernon. Or an interesting way to get around the lake. Or it'd be just great to I know that in the future there is going to be a trail from Benton to North Markham on 37, like off the side of 37. And I think they are going to work on 37 in the next year or two because that road is absolutely crumbling. I was driving home from work the other day, and there was a full-on touring cyclist, like a serious cyclist, not like a hobo, but like an actual touring cyclist with the bags and everything. And he was on 37, and a semi diverted around him and ran me off the road. And so I was like, bro, you're picking the absolute worst road in Southern Illinois to ride, because there's not even an edge. Like the edge is gone in places there. So, but that is under consideration to be repaired, and it's going to get some nice shoulders and a bike lane. So good news there. Coming up in 10 years. It takes forever to do anything in this state, I think. But all right, Shawn, one more thing while we got you talking, and getting you talking is not that hard, but we get you talking. You got a podcast of your own coming up you're wanting to do. So tell us a little bit about what you got coming up.
So the one I'm wanting to do is called Around the Shawnee, and basically I want to interview people, businesses, organizations, and event hosts that are in or around the Shawnee National Forest that can help bring tourism to our region. And I mean, it's everyone from ideas I have to interview bike surgeon, talk about how they made their business and what they're helping to do for the community, the cycling community in Southern Illinois. And even like a lodging, like a cabin rental, place, talk to them. And then, certain people, Philip Carrier, I wouldn't mind sitting down and talking to him about, building trails. A lot of people, I'm getting a lot of good responses where people want me to interview them. I'm hoping to do 2 episodes a month, bi-weekly. It'll be audio only for now. I kind of want the configuration of something to listen to while you're commuting or working out or something like that. Have about an hour long. So that's what my plans are, to overall help the businesses and folks in the Shawnee National Forest, while also helping locals and travelers alike have something to do, places to stay, so on and so forth.
Well, that's cool, man. Yeah, I think that'll be fun. You definitely have you have probably the greatest outdoor reputation in Southern Illinois. Like, it's funny if you're on Facebook or something and somebody says something about anything that does with the Shawnee, ask a question or whatever, they're like, you should ask Hiking with Shawn, or go to one of his many outlets that he has to ask that question on Facebook or whatever. So,
yeah. And here's the thing, on Facebook alone, and I'm not saying this to brag, but on Facebook alone, I'm getting 2.5 million views a month.
Wow.
So if I can use that to help all these businesses and organizations and help make Southern Illinois better, for tourism, including bikes, that you all agree this region could be a cycling paradise if we just get more, support, more likings for it and whatnot.
Yeah.
So that's, I want to use what I've built to help folks. And, that's the thing. When I interview these people, it'll be for free. I'll eventually try to get sponsors, for the podcast. And it's good to make a little bit of money. But, the whole purpose is to really help, the economy in Southern Illinois, because I really think the outdoors is our calling.
Shawn, I'm going to ask you this question. It's a little controversial. Is it hard to be famous, or is there a drawback? No, you're a personality. And one thing that has always scared me, and there's quite a few people out there that don't like you for various reasons. Mm-hmm. Most of them are, from what I've seen, all of them, from what I've seen, are kind of insane or just bizarre. But there's people out there who hate your guts. And while I've enjoyed making YouTube videos, I've also never really wanted to be a personality, and I kind of avoid probably trying to take stands on things a little bit that I think might, ruffle somebody, where you really don't. You're willing to go out there and call things. And so what kind of drawbacks has being a local celebrity caused in your life? Anything?
There's a few people that don't like me for the positions I've taken, like graffiti. I just don't like it when people go out and.
There's a lot of graffiti folks out there that are really mad that you don't like graffiti. I don't get that.
Yeah, they don't like me getting mad at them for that. Yeah. But I mainly try to stay out of the controversies as much as I can, unless I really, support the cause. Then I'll jump in there. I really try to keep an attitude of, I don't think you're the worst person in the world, but I think you need to stop doing that. There are a handful of people who don't like me, but everyone kind of comes to my rescue when that happens, which blows my mind. Guys, I'm just a guy who likes to hike. So that turned into what it is today. And I'm still, I still don't like calling people my fans. I still get a little bit of imposter syndrome. But, I'm definitely thankful for all of it. I hope that kind of answers it.
Cool, man. Hey, Gabe, what's going on? It's good to see you.
How's it going?
Did you know Nate?
I was there.
Did you know Nate broke his collarbone?
Yeah, we conversed this morning about it.
Yeah. He sent
it. Was that pre or post?
They were making fun of me hard because I went down at Glendale on Labor Day too.
Yeah.
And they were like, "Oh, let's do these big lines, man, after you just shit whipped yourself." You can do it.
He flew too close to the sun. Hubris.
Yeah, I left that part out.
Oh yeah.
Gabe, we went down there and rode Labor Day, and we introduced him to the lines. Yeah. And he's like, he took a pretty hard spill on the bridge because it was it had that mossy, cover to it. And it bites everybody, but it always hurts whenever you're the one that goes down on the bridge.
I'm really surprised we didn't have a big pile up.
Yeah, because we were rolling through there.
Hey, Nate, were you on your e-bike when you sent it?
No, there's no e-bikes in the Shawnee.
Oh, right. Yeah. Well, you were. Yeah, that's true. So you couldn't have been. Stupid question. My bad.
Exactly. It's illegal. I would
It's
never.
impossible.
I would never bring my e-bike to the Shawnee, which I guess technically I was on IDNR. So
I thought you were on. I thought that stuff in Dixon. That's Dixon. You could. I don't know. You'd have to talk to. I got actually a visit from
Shawn might know.
Shawn, you know anything about that? It's kind of up to the individual land manager, isn't it?
The only thing I know about e-bikes is they were not allowed on Tunnel Hill until Shawnee Hills e-bikes fella got with Fowler and fought for it.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
That's the only one that I know that allows e-bikes legally. Yeah. I know the Forest Service is no, so.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm going to go ahead and say I was not on an e-bike. Okay. I was on a bike.
Yeah. Acoustic bike. I hate that term.
Yeah.
Hey, analog bike.
When you hill up, I wouldn't mind joining you on the night rides out there. I live right down the road.
No, you don't want to do that. You don't want to do that, man. You don't want to do those.
I mean, I'm going to push my bike down, the rib wrencher, but
they're not even on the rib wrencher.
Kill you.
Yeah, they've built actual like death lines out there. That you got to have like, I don't know, like flying monkey skills to ride, I think, and then you fly off a 10-foot drop and break your collarbone. It's a lot of fun. So we finished up the Lost episode. We talked a lot about this kind of like racing culture sort of thing I had. I don't know. We can rehash that. Gabe showed up, so we need to get him in on this in some way. And he's already been through it once, so he's probably prepared and stuff. But if anybody has anything they want to throw in or mention, please do so. No? All right. Well, let's get into it.
Well, I don't even know what we're talking about.
Well, hold on.
I would say, Matt, why don't you introduce that, what your idea was? Or you had a list. I don't have that pulled up in front of me now.
So where this kind of come from is that I was dealing with just like, I would say just mild annoyance at not really like anyone in particular necessarily, but just in general, like negativity that I felt coming out of like multiple directions in the cycling community. We've been hit by a few instances of just negativity lately. And the other day it was kind of bringing me down a little bit. And I was just thinking also too, I had a really, really good time, a couple Saturdays ago. I did a coffee ride with St. Nick's, where we meet up at Cesar, have coffee, and then just do this super chill ride back to DuQuoin. And I was there with Matt Benson, and I was there with not Katie, but Katie's sister. I forgot her name, but Ansel. Abby Ansel, yeah, and I don't ride much with either of them. And then Judy was there, and Steve was there, and it was some guys that, they're not out there doing those hard killer training rides, and they're just out riding and having a good time. And I had a really good time riding with them. It was just super chill. The goal was to keep the group together. So I'd go to the front, and I'd go a little tiny bit harder till I noticed somebody drifting off the back, and then we'd ease up. Or if somebody did drift a little bit, I'd go back and try to pull them. And, we were averaging like 14 miles an hour in some headwind, which was a lot harder than it actually sounded. But anyway, long story short, I was thinking to myself, like, is racing culture really bad? Is it not really doing what I want it to do? So I was talking to ChatGPT, which I've been doing a lot lately, and it's become my new best friend. And ChatGPT gave me some words, helped me kind of help me kind of communicate what was on my mind a little better. Racing culture, this is my list here. Racing culture can breed elitism, exclusivity, fragmentation, alienation, gatekeeping, hostility, burnout, attrition, and instability. All negative things. And no drop lighting also has its negatives. it can lead to stagnation, limited ambition, pace frustration, lack of skill development, the forming of cliques, burnout and attrition. So there's some kind of overlap there with both of those. But those are all the negatives of those two. And really what I wanted to do with this segment was just kind of discuss like what you guys take on that was, like the focus on the racing culture versus the focus on the no drop culture.
Why don't you have both? I mean, I love racing on the weekends. I love going to group rides on the weekends. Like I do the group ride to try to do as many group rides as I can. Usually Wednesday night, either at MDH or out at Touch of Nature. I do the Saturday morning group rides when I can. Those are all pretty much no drop rides, and you go out and you ride, and everybody tries to stick together and have a good time. But whenever it comes down to racing, elbows get put out, and friends become enemies, and enemies become friends at all at the same time. So,
yeah,
I mean, you can do both, and you just have to not try to treat one like the other.
I agree, Matt. We talked about that on our Thursday night ride a little bit.
Yeah.
We discussed that, and I thought about that after I got home. And kind of to Justin's point, it's all about balance. So if you're going to show up to a casual Wednesday night group ride, then you need to be mentally prepared to casually ride a Wednesday night group ride. If you're gonna show up to a unsanctioned gravel race at Harrisburg, then that's what you need to be prepared for.
Yeah, we discussed. I think the biggest thing you can do is just set expectations. We talked about this on the, what are you calling it, Matt? The lost episode.
The lost episode, the lost podcast.
Yeah. So I think, to make it short, we eventually came to this understanding of like, if you just set expectations, it pretty much resolves like all these issues, or most of the time.
Yeah, expectations. We talked a little bit about a couple different styles and just people understanding what they're getting into right from the beginning. Where, sorry, loud truck right out my window. People understanding what they're getting to from the beginning and knowing like, okay, there are going to be regroup points. There are going to be there are not going to be regroup points. You need to have the map if you're going to do this ride. If you don't, just people need to have a clear understanding of what they're getting into. Nate talked a lot about the way they do things in Paducah and having multiple groups. So I wanted to kind of we talked a lot about that, Nate, but like, how many people? So what's your biggest group ride night?
Definitely Monday night is the biggest.
Is that the flat one?
That's the one. That's the flat one. And it could be like, start out in the beginning of the year, like 30 people. And then like now that we're starting to get like really good cycling weather, like we can have 100 people show up.
What?
Man.
Whoa.
Yeah. So the thing is, like, we post every week on Facebook what the paces are going to be, and there's normally at least 3 groups. There's an A group, a B group, and a C group. And now there's going to be even a D group. So we advertise most of these groups as drop rides. And we encourage people to know the route, which it's a pretty simple route. So it's like a really small lollipop route. So the way you go out is basically the way you come back in. But there's always going to be a group behind you, unless you're in the last group. So it's always like, we always encourage people, like, especially now that you've kind of had a couple of months to kind of get back into shape, to ride up a group if you want, and try to hold on as long as you can. And then once you can't hold on any longer, you drop back to the group behind you. Where Paducah really has the structure in Paducah, where I think it helps, is our like C group. Like, we have a very, very like dedicated C group. Like, the people that show up to the C group ride are there every single group ride, and they're always consistent. So like there's like a safety net. And at that point, I think they still consider it a drop ride, but for the most part, that group rides together. So it really encourages people to show up, that they're always going to have somebody to ride with. And, nobody's going to judge them, or, if they want to ride faster, they can go ride faster. If they want to ride slower, they go ride slower.
I find our problem up here is the fact that we just don't have that many people. Like, if we don't have 100 people that are going to show up, so we can't have a 10-person A group, a 20-person B group, a 35-person C group, so on and so forth.
Well, I think we were on the verge last year.
We were doing really well last year. Speaking of which, did you get my text about Saturday's ride? Yeah. So we're going to have a C group this year.
The good thing about Paducah is I would like, I know like Bike Surgeon is ultra involved. We've already kind of joked around, like Bike Surgeon runs Southern Illinois cycling base. Like, as far as group ride, like you're the only people having group rides. Like Bike World with Hutch and Martha, they attract, like they ride the C group. So they have like this magnetism of people, like attracting people to come ride the C group, because that's the group that they ride. It just the same thing where me and Austin ride the A group. So the people that we hang out with and ride with are attracted to the A group. So we've kind of got a polarized, like you have a strong A group and people that want to show up for the A group, but are like, they'll show up and try to ride A group knowing that there's a B group behind them. But also with Hutch and Martha being so involved, like the C group is the biggest group. Like they dwarf all of the other groups. So it helps that you have like two upstanding people of the cycling community, like being a staple of the C group. So that's where we have the benefit of that. And that's really what makes our structure work.
I think what happens in smaller groups, and especially like I'll just use my experience, my situation. I can't ride group rides every week just due to work and, parental duties. So I think what happens, and I've been guilty of this, is sometimes you go to a smaller group ride and everyone's kind of gung-ho to test out their fitness against each other. And so what happens is you have these yo-yoing paces, you have no pace line, you have people that want to ride one speed, people that only want to ride another speed. And that's where the animosity comes from.
Yeah, that's like we set the pace like very clearly, like this is what the pace is going to be. And that especially like the A group, like it's the A group is going to be what the A group is. Like whatever that ride turns out to be, don't complain, because we basically marketed as a race group, and whatever that group does is fair game. Now, when you go back like to the B group, they advertise like at the beginning of the year, they advertise it as an 18 to 20 mile an hour, which this, like, keep in mind, this route has like less than 100 foot of elevation. So we're not like, so 18 to 20 is in a pace line, a good working pace line. Most people I think could hold on for a long time that aren't completely brand new. But when you get to that group, like they start being a stickler, like we're riding this pace and we're not going over and we're not going under. Now, as the year is progressing, like I think they've maybe have made it 19 to 21 mile an hour as people have been getting in better shape. So it does evolve. Like you don't want to be like a stick in the mud, because people do get faster, but all of the groups get faster. Like even the C and D groups are also starting to advertise their rides as faster.
I will I'll add to that, with enough people showing up like that. I've got about 5 that I was riding, and we was kind of doing the C plus group, or B minus group.
C plus, B minus.
Yeah, we're in between the B group. We're faster than the C group, so, but we're not quite to the B group yet. And but there's enough of us in total, that you get 5 people break away in their own speed, on group. We kind of did the 17, 18. Now that the B group has moved up to 1921, we started doing the kind of a 17, 18 group, and but that's the pleasure of having enough people to break off into subgroups, kind of.
Yeah, that's amazing with 100 riders, because I feel like I don't know if we could find 100 riders in the whole of Southern Illinois to get together and do a group ride. I mean, it would be the biggest group ride. When I started riding at St. Nick's in DuQuoin, probably almost 10 years ago or 7 years ago, whatever it was, they have a big group ride. Sometimes it'd be like 20 or 25. And I was like, this is huge. This is such a massive amount of people. It's down to this week. I went for the first time this year, and there was 4 of us. And I had a great time. It was a really enjoyable ride. It was another really good kind of like no drop. A guy was there that I haven't rode with in a long, long time. And the last few times he came, he couldn't keep the pace. And since we didn't have a C group or a B group, I mean, it was just 4 or 5 of us, it was like, bye, he couldn't keep the pace. And so, I said, no matter what, we're not dropping him. I said, I'm not leaving you. But you run into problems too when it's situations like that where the guy's like, like they don't want to mess up your ride. They feel like they're jerks if they cause you to get dropped, even though I was like more than happy to just, slow it down a mile or an hour or two to ride with this guy. So it's a good deal. I think, anyway, yeah, understanding what you got going into it, communication, having expectations, and then also
Honestly,
go ahead.
But even if you're stronger, just go ride 2 hours before you get there. You won't be as strong as you were. You won't be as strong as you were if you were 0 miles in the leg.
It's the reverse for me. I didn't start feeling good till 1 hour into the ride. I was struggling for the first 45 minutes. I was like, this hurts. And then after that, I was like out there just freaking. I was like, yeah, this is great. I'm loving it. But it was so funny too. We all had heart rate monitors on, and this guy. There was like a slight hilly section we were doing and on West Center Road. And this dude was like, my heart rate just hit 178. And I looked down and I said, mine's 118. And then Gene looked down at his and said, mine's 106 or something like that. And it's like, you just don't understand how hard somebody might be working to hang with the pace, when they're not setting on 2,500 miles of training, in May or June or whatever, and I think he said he had 200 miles in. So yeah, so we've solved the world problems. We've promoted Hiking with Shawn's many endeavors. We've talked about a broken collarbone. Is there anything left to do in this episode?
I was going to throw out that Unbound is this weekend, and I think Katie and Gene are riding.
They are, yeah. Yeah,
and,
we wish them luck.
And a couple guys from the Metro East. So I'm excited to watch that. I think it's going to be broadcast live on YouTube.
Yeah, it's the first live stream of Unbound. Yeah. Is anybody excited for that?
I love Unbound. I mean, I think
I'm not.
Cool.
We'll see how it goes.
Yeah. It's supposed to be super muddy.
Yeah,
I'm not going to watch all 200.
Yeah. I love live streams. Live streams are awesome for crits. But man, and like I watched Levi's Grand Fondo. He had a really cool live stream. That was an amazing.
That was awesome live stream.
Yeah, that was so cool. I watched that, but I'm like, I don't know. Maybe I'm really wrong about this. I'll try to watch some of it. But I just feel like Unbound Gravel would be like watching paint dry or something. I mean,
It definitely has its moments.
Yeah.
Dull moments.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like the start is going to be good to watch.
Yeah.
And then like. Maybe
the feed stations.
Maybe like 150 miles in, like the last 50 miles are probably going to be good to watch. So
yeah,
I mean, it's why they don't show like all the stages of the tour. Like
right.
They just cut out the first 2.5-3 hours of it,
Yeah.
Only for the last like hour and a half because nobody cares. Nobody cares about the 5 dudes in the breakaway who are going to get caught in 20 kilometers to go or whatever.
Yeah.
Unless those are your friends.
Yeah. Well, that's a great shout out. Who do you know going from Metro East?
I think Dan Eisenberg and Mo Hessel, I believe.
I know those names,
One of my
but I
buddies
don't.
is over there.
Oh, who's that?
Chris Hendrickson.
Oh, cool.
You guys maybe met him at Dirty South. He's shown up the last 2 years. He got a cool picture with Lachlan. So he just sent it to me. So.
Yeah. Well, sweet. I commented on one of Drew Dillman's Strava rides the other day that he was carrying the torch for the Bonk Bros now, and so
I thought Dylan got himself all busted up too.
Yeah, it's sad. Pulling an
Nate and Dylan.
Yeah, missing. I think you're going to make your key event, but that's going to be okay, and you're going to be in. It's like you're going to be in such good shape.
Catalyst.
You'll be in such good shape for Catalyst. Amazing.
Catalyst is now about to be my A event.
What's the next? Go ahead.
I was going to say, last year when Scro came back to town, he did have the old altitude doping. He was super strong. I mean, he's strong in general, but he was even stronger when he came back.
What's the next Soil Grand Prix event?
Klaus Park, June something, or is it June? June 3rd. It's the end of June.
I think.
Hey, my opportunity to make some points back on Nate.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was actually going to show up to Klaus.
Oh, I wasn't going to show up to Klaus, but now I might.
Yeah, it's probably out of the cards for me.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to ride, but now I might because
show up to be support.
Yeah, I'll have to. Which it'll be Klaus and then Catalyst are the last two.
Yeah, I actually do have a date for that. If some people want to talk.
Janet, get this date for the show notes. Sorry.
What is it?
What's the date? Janet's waiting.
Sorry,
Producer Janet.
For a minute. Let me pull up the email.
he teased us, guys.
Yeah, I have a date, but I'm not telling.
Well, this is the debut. We don't want to screw it up.
Yeah. Exclusive soil cycling content.
September, October.
Anybody got anything for the exclusive Patreon content? put out some exclusives. Okay, here's the date.
So this is like 95% and
Pretty
20th
good.
of September.
It's not as good. 20th of September.
I was trying to get a date that all the Missouri NICA group kids were wanting to show up, and there just wasn't a date that worked with Touch Nature and them and other races. So I think that's about the best I can do. So, yep, you hear it here first.
That might actually work
Heard it
for
here.
me. Maybe.
Yeah.
I might do that.
There's one other alternate date that I can do, but yeah, I'd rather not do that.
Yeah.
Are we gonna call it? Are you gonna call it Catalyst?
There's not a name at the moment, and on my Google Calendar it says Catalyst, but it is going to be a Shawnee Mountain Bike Association event.
Yeah.
So we can now it's our thing. So
yeah,
cool.
So yeah, think of a name. If someone comes up with a really good name and it sticks, I will pay for your entry.
You just got to be careful. Our misaligned minds is somewhere in that time frame.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about it. It's on the calendar. So if listeners or other people, if there's dates that conflict with this, let me know.
Yeah, just let me double check. I don't want to spoil it prematurely.
It was the 20th last year
of October, I think.
I mean,
So,
Misaligned Minds was September 20th, This says Saturday, September 20th, 2025. But then when you go click on it, it says race not found. So I don't know if that's correct or not. But that's on their sign up. But yeah.
Yes.
September 20th, 2025. Man, when you go to that page, let's see, is there a way I can show this on this? I'll just put it over here. It'll end up. You get the whole
maybe entry's not open.
You get the whole BPR team like lined up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh man,
that's the official Misaligned Minds sign up. I don't think that it's completely ready yet, so don't quote me on that.
Yeah,
but
I'll see
if the date's on there, that's
September 20th. Well, we got a conflict, Nate. We got a conflict, Gabe. You're gonna have to sort that out.
I'll try. So
it might be impossible.
Get that taken care of.
It might be impossible.
Yeah.
Might be. But we signed up to run the Misaligned Minds as BPR, so
yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
So we're going to be running that event. So
is
do it on the 20th.
It was
definitely have it on the 20th.
It was Larry last year, right? Larry ran it.
Yeah, Larry ran it last year, and we're going to run it this year.
And he brought it back from the dead, right?
Yeah, we're trying to be good stewards of the cycling community.
Well, that used to be a big part of being a cycling team or having a cycling club. Like USA Cycling required, I think it was USA Cycling required you to like do that. You had to run some races, you had to run some events, and they dropped that requirement for their clubs several years ago. So, yeah, I think it's awesome. You guys are taking that on.
What do people feel about a Sunday race?
I mean, nothing like getting with Jesus, but also Sundays I'm in St. Louis, so pretty much September, the first weekend of September to the end of the year, I'm in St. Louis, and it doesn't really matter. I've pretty much thrown the Solo Grand Prix in the trash for points.
Yeah, well, I think the other backup date was maybe a Sunday. So I'll get with them and see what it is. Because it would suck if the Paducah guys can't show up. Because we'd run this as like a charity event.
Yeah.
So, if people don't show up, it kind of isn't worth even doing it. So.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Because it's. Yeah. I feel that. Gabe, you could possibly move ahead of Nate if he misses the next 2 events and you outscore him somewhere. So, and I don't know if Ian Bolton, did he do the mountain biking?
He's been riding Klaus
He did in Glendale.
Yeah.
He beat me at Glendale.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, Justin, you're like in striking distance to take this, and you definitely have one event you can.
Everyone can have a bad race.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
And you actually should be good at Klaus. I told you that last year.
I think you'd kill it. Yeah, you'd love Klaus. Yeah.
I don't love Klaus, but I do.
Klaus is not my type of race.
Yeah, it sucks.
It doesn't suit me.
I think I'm going though just to support him and also too just because I do want to try to finish that ride. So maybe I'll eat a bunch of ginger and try not to get a stomach ache. Well, guys.
DNF'd last year.
Yeah, I've DNF'd twice. Are we about wrapping things up here? Anybody got anything else they want to hit on?
I signed up for a half marathon.
Oh yeah, you've been running.
Oh,
yeah. I like it.
Is it on the road?
Like
okay.
All right. End the podcast.
End the podcast.
End the
podcast. Discussion over.
And
life crisis.
I noticed anytime anybody posts anything about running, Nate Jones says dumb. So
yes.
So just tell him.
That's my official stance.
One word. It's always a one word. It's just dumb. It's like Ian Bolton makes a new best time in a 200-mile off-road trail race. Everybody's proud of him. Nate says dumb.
Dumb.
If Nate posts his Strava from when he got hurt, that's what I'll post on it.
It's up there.
It's up now.
Austin is already.
You know what? I'll
Yeah.
just go now and go do that real quick.
Yeah.
Austin has already put mega dumb, I believe, is what I read.
Well, I think we really need to incentivize everybody to go actually do that. So I'll go now and do my part.
So remember, everybody, do not take medical advice from us. We are not a medical podcast, licensed doctors, or members of any sort of medical group. We just think you should probably go to the hospital when you're having chest pains. We think you should probably go to the hospital when you break a bone. Heck, you probably just might have to go to the hospital after every ride. I don't know. Have a great day. Thank you for tuning in. And that concludes today's episode of Soil Cycling number 19.